Okay. So, we are reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, book 3 today. Once again, I'm trying to improve my articulation, my pacing, my tonality, couple things. If you want to read along, we are reading from the Penguin's Classic Guide. If you just want to listen, I will try my best. But like I said in the previous video, I'm not going to break down anything. So I'm going to do a full read through from book 2 till book from book 2 to the last book. Then we'll go back and re-look at each book individually, each paragraph and what it means. It is currently, the time really does not matter, but it's about 12:30 in the morning. And yeah, we are reading for, I think, 20 minutes. Honestly, we'll just read the entirety of book 3. I'm just going to read the entirety of book 3, and then however long that takes us, just practicing pausing, pacing, tonality. So, Meditations, book 3. We must take into our reckoning not only that life is expended day by day and the remaining balance diminishes, but also this further consideration. If we live longer, there is no guarantee that our mind will likewise retain that power to comprehend and study the world, which contributes to our experience of things, divine and human. If dementia sets in, there will be no failure of such faculties as breathing, feeding, imagination, desire. Before these go, the early extinction is of one's proper use of oneself, one's accurate assessment of the graduations of duty, one's ability to analyze impressions, one's understanding of whether the time has come to leave this life. These and all other matters which wholly depend on trained calculation. So, we must have a sense of urgency, not only for the ever closer approach of death, but also because our comprehension of the world and our ability to pay proper attention will fade before we do. We should also attend to things like these, observing that even incidental effects of the processes of nature have their own charm and attraction. Take the baking of bread. The loaf splits open here and there, and those very cracks are in one way a failure of the baker's profession. Somehow catch the eye and give particular stimulus to our appetite. Figs, likewise, burst open at full maturity, and in olives ripened on the tree, the very proximity of decay lends a special beauty to the fruit. Similarly, the ears of corn nodding down to the ground, the lion's puckered brow, the foam gushing from the boar's mouth, and much else besides. Looked at in isolation, these things are far from lovely, but the consequence of the processes of nature enhances them and gives them attraction. So any man with a feeling and deeper insight for the workings of the whole will find some pleasure in almost every aspect of the disposition, including the incidental consequences. Such a man will take no less delight in the living snarl of wild animals than in the imitative representation of painters and sculptors. He will see a kind of bloom, fresh beauty in an old woman or an old man, and he will be able to look with sober eyes on the seductive charm of his own slave boys. Not all can share this conviction. Only one who has developed a genuine affinity for nature and her works. For him, there will be many such perceptions. Hippocrates cured many diseases, then died. Okay. Hippocrates cured many diseases, then died of disease himself. The Chaldean astrologers foretold the deaths of many people, then their own fated, they claimed them. Alexander, Pompey, Julius Caesar annihilated whole cities time after time and slaughtered tens of thousands of horse and foot in the field of battle, and yet the moment came for them too to depart from this life. Heraclitus speculated long on the conflagration of a universe. but the water of dropsy filled his guts, and he died caked with poultice and cow dung, in a poultice of cow dung. Vermin were the death of Democritus, and a vermin of, of another sort killed Socrates. What of it then? You embarked. You set sail, you made port. Go ashore now. If it is to another life, nothing is empty of the gods, even of that shore. And if to insensibility you will cease to suffer pains and pleasures, no longer enthralled to a bodily vessel, suffer pain which is a master as far inferior as its servant is superior. One is mind and divinity, the other a clay of dust and blood. Do not waste the remaining parts of your life in thoughts about other people. When you are not thinking with reference to some aspect of the common good, why deprive yourself of the time for some other task? I mean, thinking about what so and so is doing and why, what he is saying or contemplating or plotting, and all that line of thought makes you stray from the close watch on your own directing mind. No. In the sequence of your thoughts, you must avoid all that is casual or aimless, and most particularly anything prying or malicious. Train yourself to think only those thoughts, such in an answer to a sudden question. What is in your mind now? You could say that with immediate frankness, whatever it is, this or that, and so your answer can give direct evidence that all your thoughts are straightforward and kindly, the thoughts of a social being who has no regard for fancies of pleasure or wider indulgence, for rivalry, malice, suspicion, or anything else that one would blush to admit was in one's mind. A man such as this, if he postpones no longer his ready place among the best, is in some way a priest and minister of the gods. He responds to the divinity seated within him, and this renders the man unsullied by pleasures, unscathed by any pain, untouched by any wrong, unconscious of any wickedness, a wrestler for the greatest prize of all, to avoid being thrown by any passion, die to the core with justice, embracing with his whole heart all the experience allotted to him. Rarely, and only when there is great need for the common good, wondering what others may be saying or doing or thinking. He has only his own work to bring to fulfillment, and only his own fated allocation from the whole to claim his constant attention. As for his work, he makes it excellent. As for his lot, he is convinced it is good, and each person appointed lot is both his fellow passenger and his driver. He bears in mind, too, the kinship of all rational beings, and that caring for all men is in accordance with man's nature, but that nevertheless he should not hold out to the opinions of all, but only to those who live their lives in agreement with nature. He will constantly remind himself what sort of people they are, who do not lead such lives, what they are like both at home and abroad, by day and by night, they and the polluting company they keep. So he disregards even the praise of such men. These are people who are not even satisfied with themselves. You should take no action unwillingly, selfishly, uncritically, or with conflicting motives. Do not dress up your thoughts in smart finery. Do not be a gabber or a meddler. Further, let the God that is within you be the champion of the being you are, a male, mature in years, a statesman, a Roman, a ruler, one who has taken to his post like a soldier, waiting for the retreat from life to sound, and ready to depart, past the need of any lawyer oath or any human witness. And see that you keep a cheerful demeanor and retain your independence of outside help and the peace which others can give you. Your duty is to stand straight, not held straight. If you discover in human life something better than justice, truth, self control, courage, in short, something better than the self sufficiency of your own mind, which keeps you from acting in accordance with true reason and accepts your inheritance of fate in all outside your choice. If, as I say, you can see something better than this, then turn to it with all your heart and enjoy this prime good you have found. But if nothing is shown to be better than the very good, than the very God that is seated in you, which has brought all your own impulses under its control, which scrutinizes your thoughts, which has withdrawn itself, as Socrates used to say, from all the inducements of the senses, which has subordinated itself to the gods and takes care of men. If you find all else by comparison with this small and paltry, then give no room to anything else. Once turned and inclined to any alternative, you will struggle thereafter to restore the primacy of that good which is yours and yours alone. Because it is not right that that the rational and social good should be rivaled by anything of a different order. For example, the praise of the many, or power or wealth, or the enjoyment of pleasure. All these things may seem to suit you for a little while, but then they can suddenly take control and carry you away. So you, I repeat, must simply and freely choose the better and hold to it. But better is what benefits. If to your benefit as a rational being, adopt it. But if simply to your benefit as an animal, reject it. And stick to your judgment without fanfare. Only make sure that your scrutiny is sound. Never regard as a benefit to yourself anything which will force you at some point to break your faith, to leave integrity behind, to hate, suspect, or curse another, to dissemble, to covet anything needed, the secrecy of walls and drapes. A man who has put first his own mind and divinity and worships the supremacy of the God within him makes no drama of his life, no hand wringing, no craving for solitude or crowds. Most of all, his will be a life of neither pursuit nor avoidance, and it is of no remote concern to him whether he will retain the bodily envelope of his soul for a longer or shorter time. Even if he releases, even if release must come here and now, he will depart as easily as he would perform any other act that admits of integrity and decency. Throughout all his life, his one precaution is that his mind should not shift to a state without affinity to a rational and social being. In the mind of one who is chastened and cleansed, you will find no supernation, no supernation, no separation. In the mind of one who is chastened and cleansed, you will find no separation, no simmering ulcer, no sore festering under the skin. Fate does not catch him with his life unfulfilled, as one might speak of an actor leaving the stage before his part is finished and the play is over. Moreover, you will find nothing servile or pretentious, no dependence or alienation, nothing to answer for, no lurking fault. Reverse your power of judgment. All rests on this to make sure that your directing mind no longer entertains any judgment which fails to agree with the nature of the constitution of a rational being. And this state guarantees deliberate thought, affinity with other men, and obedience to the gods. So discard all else and secure these few things only. Remind yourself that too Remind yourself too that each of us live only in the present moment, a mere fragment of time. The rest is life past or uncertain future. Sure, life is a small thing, and small the cranny of the earth in which we live. Small too, even the longest fame thereafter, which is itself subject to a succession of little men who will quickly die and have no knowledge even of themselves, let alone those long dead. One addition to the precepts already mentioned: always make a definition or sketch of what presents itself to your mind so you can see it stripped bare to its essential nature and identify it clearly in whole and in all its parts, and you can tell yourself its proper name and the names of those elements of which it is compounded and into which it will be dissolved. Nothing is so conducive to greatness of mind as the ability to subject each element of our experience and life to methodical and truthful examination, always at the same time using the scrutiny as a means to reflect on the nature of the universe the contribution any given action or event makes to that nature, the value this has for the whole, and the value it has for the man. And man is an inhabitant of the highest city, of which all other cities are mere households. Ask then, what is this? What is this which is now making its impression on me? What is it composed of? How long in the nature of things will it last? What virtue is needed to meet it? Gentleness, for example, or courage, truthfulness, loyalty, simplicity, self sufficiency, and so on. So, in each case, we must say, this has come from God. This is due to a juncture of faith, the mesh of destiny, or some similar coincidence of chance. And this is for my fellow men, my kinsman, and colleague, the one who does not know what accords with his own nature, but I do know, and so I treat him kindly and fairly, following the natural law of our fellowship, but at the same time I aim to give him des- proper deserts in matters which are morally neutral. If you set yourself to the present task, along with the path of true reason, with all determination, vigor, and goodwill, if you admit no distraction, but keep your own divinity pure and standing strong, as if you had to surrender to it right now, if you grapple this to you, expect nothing, shrinking nothing, but self-content with each present action taken in accordance with nature and a heroic truthfulness in all that you say and mean, then you will lead a good life and nobody is able to stop you. Just as doctors always have their instruments and knives at hand for any emergency treatment, so should you have your doctrines ready for the recognition of the divine and the human, and the performance of every action, even the smallest, in consciousness of the bond which unites the two. No action in the human context will succeed without reference to the divine, nor vice versa. No more wondering. You're not likely to read your own jottings, your histories of the ancient Greeks and Romans, your extracts from the literature laid upon for your old age. Hurry then to the end. Abandon vain hopes. Rescue yourself, if you have any care for yourself while the opportunity is still there. They do not know all the meanings of theft, of sowing, of buying, of keeping at rest, of seeing what needs to be done. This is not for the eye, but for a different sort of vision. Body, soul, mind. To the body belong sense perceptions, to the soul, impulses, and to the mind, judgments. The receipt of impressions is shared with cattle. Response to the puppet strings of impulse is shared with wild beasts, with catamites, with Phalaris or a Nero. Having the mind as guide to what appears appropriate action is shared with those who do not believe in the gods, those who betray their country, those who get up to anything behind closed doors. So, if all else is held in common with the categories mentioned above, it follows that defining characteristics of the good person is to love and embrace whatever happens to him along his thread of fate, and not to pollute the divinity which is seated within his breast, or trouble it with a welter of confused impressions, but to preserve its constant favor and proper allegiance to God, saying only what is true, doing only what is just. And if all people must mistrust him for living a simple, decent, and cheerful life, he has no quarrel with any of them, and no diversion from the road which leads to the final goal of his life. To this he must come pure, at peace, ready to depart, in unforced harmony with his fate. After reading that, there's a lot that I do get from book three. It's a lot better than book two, as for actual tangible operational things to do, in my opinion. But then of course I do need to reread book two with, I want to say, an open mind, but I need to reread book two to get a better understanding of it. Book three, on first read, I can say I do have a better understanding of the concepts spoken about in book three as opposed to book two. Tomorrow I'll be reading book four. We'll see how that goes. And then there should be a video of me either both journaling and meditating up on the channel right now. We are learning. But yeah, anyway, if you're reading along, I hope my reading was at a decent pace. I hope I could articulate properly. I'll rewatch this recording, see what I can fix for tomorrow. And yeah, we're getting better every day.